Good morning, this is Four Wheels in the Seat. I'm Alex Dalrymple and this is my channel where I review new cars every week. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already, otherwise you might miss a review. And if you enjoy it, give me a like as well, that would be awesome. Right now, it seems that every major manufacturer is expanding their range of SUVs. It's no longer a case of small, medium and large. We've got crossovers and ones that are only fractionally bigger than the model beneath them. And Honda has now gotten in on that act too and given us the ZR-V, which sits in between the CR-V and the HR-V. And if you think it looks like a Civic that just rides up a little bit higher, well, you'd be right, both cars share the same platform. And they also share many of the same design cues, although I do have to say I don't think the ZR-V is quite as good looking as the Civic. And I think that's especially true at the front, where they've given this car a little bit of a strange look. It looks a little bit like the Yaris Cross. I just don't like the gap in between the headlights and the front grille. It just looks a little bit strange. I wish they'd sort of joined it all up, and that's where I think the Civic looks much better. I do like the front lights, however. I think they might have come straight over from the Civic. They feature LED daytime running lights, which do double duty as turn indicators. From the side, you can see that the ZR-V rides up reasonably high, giving you a bit of additional ground clearance. And an interesting note, the roof of this car is not welded on. It's actually all molded as one piece, so there's no joins on the roof. Here in the mid-spec VTI-L, we get 18-inch dark alloy wheels, which look pretty good. Well, if the front end of the ZR-V is no oil painting, the rear end more than makes up for it. I think this is one of the most attractive rear ends you're going to find on any car at the moment. I really like what they've done here. The light clusters look great. I like the new take on the Honda logo. I haven't seen that on any of their cars before. It's a good look. And the powered tailgate features a unique feature where at the push of a button you can tell the car not to close the boot until you've walked away. So if you've got your arms full of shopping, for example, you can just push that button, walk away, and the boot will close for you with no further input from the driver. In terms of rear storage, we've got an okay 380 litres of room, but you can expand that by a further 1,000 or so with the rear seats down. Under the floor is a space-saver spare tyre. Up the front and under the bonnet, we get a 1.5 litre four-cylinder turbo engine which outputs 131 kilowatts of power and 240 newton meters of torque. Power goes to the front wheels only via a CVT, and fuel economy comes in at an average of 7.2 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle. The interior of the ZR-V is very similar to the Civic, but it's like it's been put through a 1990s bubble car filter because there's just a lot more rounded edges and curves and this floating center console, and that kind of extends here to the door handles. There's a nice mixture of materials, and I really like the honeycomb grille here that runs across the belt line hiding the air vents. That's a really favorite feature of mine. The 9-inch center console screen is pretty much the same as the Civic's, so the graphics are beautifully sharp. It runs really smoothly and really well. It did freeze up on me briefly during the week at one point, but that seems to be a one-off, so we'll overlook that. And it also features wireless Apple CarPlay, but no native navigation. Climate controls under that, they run completely independent of the center console screen. Storage space for your phone, which is actually where the wireless charging is in upper spec models, but we miss out on that here. A couple of cup holders. The lower console is sort of this unique floating design here, which gives you a bit of added storage space underneath it. But I don't know, it's kind of like a 90s bubble car kind of design. It's interesting. And a really good size center console bin just behind that. The digital instrument cluster, again, I think has been ported over from the upper spec model Civics. So there's a couple of distinct design modes you can choose from, and you can also pick what widgets appear on the side of the screen. It looks really good, it's perfectly functional. It integrates well with the Apple CarPlay navigation, so you can get turn-by-turn directions on your instrument cluster as well as on the center console screen. Steering wheel, I like Honda steering wheels, and this one's really good. Paddle shifters on the back that are made out of metal and feel really nice, and we've got some nice leatherette stitching all across the top here. So yeah, it's a good wheel. The seats here in the VTI-L are fabric with leatherette accents, and although there's no electric adjustment or lumbar support, I do have to say they're very, very comfortable. These are some of the nicest seats I've sat in for a while. There's heating for the driver and the front passenger, and the seating position in the cabin is really good. It's nice and low and feels kind of sporty. But visibility is really excellent out the front. I can see right to the front corners of the bonnet. The wing mirrors are nice and big. We've got good visibility through the rear vision mirror. It's actually a really nice place to sit. And it's also very nice for backseat passengers too, because there is an astounding amount of room back there. I was really, really surprised when I sat in the back seat. Behind my own seating position, and I'm 190 centimeters tall, I've got a stack of knee room. Like, it is just doesn't seem right that there is that much room back there. Yeah, very comfortable for backseat passengers. They've also got 2 USB-C charging ports back there. And yeah, no complaints from the kids on long road trips in the ZR-V. Here in the VTIL, we get a reversing camera, but that's pretty much it. There's no camera on the front, but we do get front and rear parking sensors. A lot of people don't like CVTs. I never really had an issue with them. I've owned a couple of cars that have had constantly variable transmissions and they've been just fine. This one, however, I'm not so keen on, because it just seems to wander up and down the rev range and make a fair bit of noise unnecessarily. But aside from that, the ride is really good. It is nice and smooth, going around corners at speed. It feels pretty flat and well planted to the road. It's a really nice, easy car to drive. And of course, being a Honda, it feels rock solid. It is really well made. All the materials are beautifully put together. It's just a really nice, solid feeling driving this car. The ZR-V actually looks and feels maybe a little bit smaller than it is. It's a relatively big car. I mean, it's bigger than a Mazda CX-3. It's smaller than a CX-5, but only just. Like a lot of new cars, we've got forward collision warning, and like a lot of new cars, this one gets confused by parked cars on the side of the road, especially when you're going around a corner. It will often flash up a big red alert on the instrument cluster thinking that something has stopped in front of you when it hasn't. Hopefully AI will find a solution for that before too long. So all up, I do have to say I'm very impressed with the Honda ZR-V. If you're looking for a small Japanese engineered SUV that's extremely well made and feels very solid and will do everything you need it to do around town, then this could be the 4 wheels and a seat for you.